Modern engineers say this should be impossible. No iron tools, no wheels, no cranes. Yet, somehow an ancient civilization managed to build a massive stone city, more than 2,400 meters above sea level. Even stranger, these buildings have survived 500 years of earthquakes. But the real mystery is hidden beneath the city itself, because nearly 60% of Machu Picchu is invisible. Imagine standing on a narrow mountain ridge where the land falls away thousands of feet on both sides. Clouds move slowly through the terraces, and enormous granite walls appear to grow directly out of the mountain. At first glance, it almost looks natural, as if the mountain shaped the city itself. But look closer at the stonework. The Inca did not simply stack rocks. They created a gigantic three-dimensional puzzle. Each block of granite, one of the hardest stones on Earth, was carved into complex multi-angled shapes that lock together perfectly. Even today, a razor blade cannot slide between the stones. Imagine the patience required for this work. A massive block weighing 20 tons is dragged up a mountain path by hundreds of workers pulling ropes made from plant fibers. The stone is lifted into place, then removed, reshaped, and lifted again. Sometimes this process repeated dozens of times until the fit became perfect. But this raises an obvious question. Why go through so much effort when building with mortar would be much easier? The answer lies beneath their feet. The Andes Mountains are one of the most earthquake-active regions on Earth. In most places, rigid buildings collapse when the ground begins to shake. Machu Picchu behaves differently. These stones move. During an earthquake, the blocks shift slightly, vibrate, and then settle back into place under their own weight. Instead of resisting the energy of the earth, the city absorbs it. In a sense, the walls dance with the mountain. It is one of the earliest known examples of earthquake-resistant engineering. But here is something most visitors never notice. Nearly 60% of Machu Picchu is hidden underground. Beneath the terraces and temples lies a vast drainage system made from layers of stone, gravel, and sand. Without it, the heavy tropical rains of the Andes would have turned this entire ridge into a giant mudslide centuries ago. The Inca were not simply building a city. They were engineering the mountain itself. Archaeologists have identified more than 130 hidden drainage channels beneath the site. Water flows through these layers and disappears safely into the mountain, instead of destroying the foundations. Even today, 500 years later, the system still works. Now imagine the planning required to design such a structure without written calculations or modern instruments. But the engineering of Machu Picchu goes even further. The entire city was built around a natural spring that emerges from the mountainside. From this source, the Inca constructed a stone channel nearly 750 meters long. The water flows into the city and feeds 16 cascading fountains that once supplied the entire settlement. The system is so precise that it still functions today almost exactly as it did centuries ago. But the true intellectual center of Machu Picchu lies at the highest point of the city. Here stands a strange carved stone, known as the Intihuatana. At first glance, it looks like a simple ritual object. But when archaeologists studied its alignment, they discovered something remarkable. The stone is positioned almost perfectly with the cardinal directions and the movement of the sun. During certain times of the year, the sunlight creates almost no shadow along its edges. This suggests the stone may have been used as a precise astronomical instrument. The Inca were not just builders. They were careful observers of the sky. Their architecture was connected to the movement of the sun, the seasons, and the rhythms of nature itself. But this is where the story becomes even more mysterious. Despite all of this engineering brilliance, Machu Picchu was inhabited for only a short time. Most historians believe the city was occupied for little more than a century. Then, something strange happened. The people simply left. There are no signs of great battles, no burned buildings, no evidence of violent destruction. A city built with incredible effort was abandoned almost overnight. Some researchers believe disease brought by European explorers devastated the population of the region. Others suggest political conflict within the Inca Empire forced people to retreat deeper into the mountains. But another theory raises even more intriguing questions. When archaeologists examined the lowest stone foundations of the city, they noticed something unusual. In some places, the lower masonry appears different from the structures above it. This has led some researchers to suggest that the Inca may have rebuilt or expanded a site that was already considered sacred long before their empire existed. If that is true, Machu Picchu may have an even older history, hidden beneath the stones we see today. For nearly 4 centuries after its abandonment, the city remained hidden in dense mountain jungle. Trees grew through the walls, moss covered the terraces. The outside world slowly forgot it existed. Then, in July of 1911, an American explorer named Hiram Bingham climbed through thick forest and steep cliffs, searching for a different lost city. Guided by local villagers and a young boy who knew the mountain paths, he reached a mist-covered ridge high above the valley. Emerging from the jungle were massive granite walls, terraces, and stairways still standing after centuries of abandonment. The discovery stunned the world. Photographs of Machu Picchu spread across the globe and revealed one of the most extraordinary archaeological sites ever found. Today, millions of visitors travel to this remote mountain ridge to see the city with their own eyes. Yet, even after more than a century of research, Machu Picchu still guards many of its secrets. Standing among the silent terraces and temples, one fact becomes impossible to ignore. The Inca built this city without iron tools, without wheels, and without written engineering plans. They shaped granite with stone hammers, moved massive blocks using ropes and human strength, and created a mountain settlement capable of surviving centuries of earthquakes and storms. And that leaves us with one final question. Did the builders simply understand their environment in ways we are only beginning to rediscover? Or are there still hidden chapters of human knowledge buried beneath these stones? Because Machu Picchu is not the only place where ancient builders created structures that still puzzle modern engineers. In the deserts of the Middle East, there is another city carved directly into solid rock, where entire temples were sculpted from a single mountain, and the techniques used there raise even more questions than Machu Picchu itself.